we're going to be covering different quilt options. If you remember in the last one we went through, we compared sleeping bags, cocoons, and quilts. This one we're going to dive right into just quilts. With so many contenders popping up, there are a lot of different options to choose from. I chose 2 companies. I was looking around for a lot when I was getting into bike packing, but what was my overall goal? How could I have it extremely packable and extremely lightweight? We have Eagle's Nest Outfitters, and we have Enlightened Equipment. I almost said Hummingbird Hammocks because we've done a ton of their stuff. Awesome company. But no, Eagle's Nest Outfitters and Enlightened Equipment, okay? Eagle's Nest Outfitters, they're awesome. They have a lot of different hammocks. They have a lot of different options. They have a huge budget. Because of that, they have a few quilt options. However, they only have a few. They don't have a bunch of different temp ranges. And they do price conscious to mid-level products. Enlightened Equipment is all premium grade products. Okay, their cheapest one is like $260. They're all high end, but because they do just quilts, they have a great assortment, and then on that assortment they have a lot of depth. We discussed when we talked about insulation, you have down and synthetic, right? There's one more feature that goes into an ultralight setup, and that's the shell and the lining. Okay, if ever you feel a sleeping bag or a quilt and it feels really soft and nice and light, that's nylon. It's very thin nylon. So this nylon, this is a 20 denier nylon, and this is a 10 denier nylon. Even though it feels like it's gonna rip easy, it's extremely strong. Because it is ripstop nylon, as we described before, ripstop means you have all these little checkered patterns. It'd be hard to see in the camera, but if ever you're looking at high-end bags, you'll see all these little squares. That means that if you pull it over a bush with thorns on it or something, it's gonna maintain those cuts inside the square, so you're not gonna lose a lot of down or insulation, okay? So that's when you see prices for bags and quilts skyrocket, it's because, well, it is because of the down, but it's also gonna be because they're using really high-end nylon. Now, Enlightened Equipment only uses nylon. They don't have any polyester options. That's gonna be your other shell, is polyester. It's kind of interesting because polyester actually feels strong and more durable than the nylon. Oddly enough, it's not. And it's not as lightweight. Now let's cover our high-end category. What's gonna make up high-end quilts is gonna be the insulation, the filling, which is going to be down. High-end is always gonna be down whenever it's pricey, and then your shell and your liner is always gonna be nylon, okay? So the first option we're gonna go with is the Enlightened Equipment Enigma. So as I explained, Enlightened Equipment has a pretty big assortment. The Enigma is one of their options. The Enigma is their lightest option. And the reason it's the lightest is because they have a sewn-in footbed all the way up to the back of your knees, which with the hammock, I didn't see any reason for wanting to open it up completely. So this one's sewn in. The Enigma has, you can choose from 0 degrees to 50 degree options, and they have different lining. It's all nylon, but you can choose 7 denier, 10 denier, or 20. If I were to do it again, I'd go with their 7 because it drops a couple ounces off. It's pretty sweet. They didn't have the 7 when I was doing my quilt setup. So I went with it has a 10 main body, then a 20 denier for your feet and for your head. That's all the green, okay? So what makes Enlightened, or this bag, awesome, it's only 19 ounces. Or no, this one was 21 ounces. But the 30 degree is only 19 ounces. The 30 degree was roughly $315. So we're gonna compare, ENO only does a 30 degree quilt. So even though mine's a 20, I'll touch on the Enlightened Equipment's 30 degrees so you can get a good comparison. Extremely packable, and I'll pack this down towards the end of this episode so you can see just how insane it is. But that's the Enlightened Equipment. So let's move on to the Eagle's Nest Outfitters variant. They're high end, so they have what's called the Igniter. They only have one option. It's rated for 30 degrees. It's 750 fill power. This quilt, so fill is the rating of the down, as I explained in our insulation episode. So the higher the rating, so an 850 fill just means it has higher loft, right? So 750 is still very high end. It's not as high of a loft. The Eagle's Nest Outfitters is 750 fill. It weighs 23 ounces, which is really lightweight. It's a nylon lining and shell, and it's for $230. I am blown away at the price of that. That is an amazing price. A 30 degree is an awesome setup. I went with the 20 because a 20 degree is really good for early spring through late fall. And then if you're winter camping, I just throw on more layers. But if you're wanting to do kind of later spring and early fall, a 30 degree is awesome. The biggest difference between those two bags, because they're so comparable, they're 30 degrees from each company, the biggest difference is going to be its packability. Because Enlightened equipment has the option of, it's 850 fill. You can also do 950, which would be the dream, but it's like $60 more per bag. But the 850 fill, it's going to be able to pack down substantially smaller than the ENO. Let's move on to our ultimate price-conscious item. I cannot believe this is an option. It's amazing. If you're getting into bike packing and you're trying to see if you even want to do it, or if you're getting into the quilts and you want to see what you think of quilts, this is a killer option. It's made by Eagle's Nest Outfitters and it's called the Spark. It's a 40 degree rating, so it really is a summer bag. You're really using it mid-June through mid-August, right? Unless you're bringing a lot of extra clothes, which you wouldn't if you're bikepacking because you want to go really lightweight. But the Spark is rated for 40. It only weighs 27 ounces. That's incredible that it's still that lightweight, and it's $100. That's the selling point of this quilt. It's a $100 quilt to get you into the area. The coolest thing with it, while it's not going to pack down as small as the Enlightened Equipment Enigma or the Eagle's Nest Outfitters Igniter, I was pretty impressed with how small it packs down. I have a couple buddies that they come with me. They didn't want to drop as much money, and so they went with these ENO options, and they have been very satisfied so far. So the biggest thing with the Spark is you're going to have its ultimate price conscious. You have an awesome price point, still going to keep you nice and toasty. Enlightened equipment comes with the stuff sack. Most of these companies do. A lot of people when they're backpacking or bike packing, they'll fill their bag, but they don't actually stuff their quilt or their sleeping bag. They'll fill up their backpack and then they'll put the quilt in around it. That's not going to work when we're going with such an ultralight setup. You really do have to squish it down to where it's nothing, right? So these all came with this, so you can just use this, but they didn't come with straps with a cinch girdle. So this one is the Big Agnes girdle. I just ordered this separate. This is obviously big. I'm going to squish this down here in a second. You'll be able to see how low a profile it makes. So this is the quilt scrunched down all the way. That's such a low profile. Now you will have two of these, right? Because this is just your top insulation. If you go with an underquilt or a pad, which we're going to review those, I think the next episode, you're going to have that as well. But this I just push right down to the bottom of my bag, my backpack when I'm going. So you can see that low profile. Obviously, so to sum up the day, ultralight, that's what we're focused on. I went with the Enlightened Equipment Enigma. The 4 ounces, or this one's only 2 ounces lighter than the Igniter, but this is a 20 degree setup. So I love that I'm able to camp all year long and be toasty warm. So that was worth it to me, and I loved how many options Enlightened Equipment has. Anywho, thanks for joining the episode. Catch you next time.